Here's Minnesota Twins pitching prospect David Festa in his AAA debut from earlier this year. We're going to take a look at his entire outing from this performance. I'll be back to add some context in between innings, so in a couple minutes here, but here's the first inning. So Festa gets through the first inning clean, as you see there. This was a big outing for him, and we highlighted it on the channel during the year on the system recap, but it was kind of overshadowed because Byron Buxton played the outfield in this game in a rehab assignment, so that was a huge deal. Alex Kirilloff was also the DH on a rehab assignment, so just a ton going on in this Saints game in addition to Festa's debut. Want to call out, you may have noticed this box in the bottom right. This was a game where the automated ball and strike zone was called, so that's why that's down there. Anyway, moving on to the second inning. So Festa works through a jam in the second inning, gets a huge strikeout in the process. We're going to take a look at his baseball savant data in between innings here on this entire outing. So the 91 pitches, that was actually a season high for him, and he really mixed it up. And this is pretty typical David Festa, really relying on the changeup. I think that's a difference-making pitch for him, and this outing really showed it. He threw that pitch 43% of the time and got 12 of his 20 swinging strikes in this outing on the changeup. A special pitch, obviously the fastball sets everything up. Sat 95 with the fastball in this outing, topped out at 96.3 miles per hour, so he can bring the heat. But again, that's not even sort of his calling card. That's the changeup. And then, when he can mix in that slider and keep hitters really off balance, we saw in this outing kind of the full package from David Festa in his AAA debut nonetheless. This was on August 30th. Let's move on to the third inning. So in the third inning, Festa was one strike away from getting through that one clean, but Fry took him deep. Could not get that third strike on him. You might have noticed Jair Camargo getting a little bit beat up behind the plate there. Just want to call out he was catching this game. If you wanted to see more of his work behind the plate, this is a good example of that as well, in addition to Festa. But on David Fry, you notice that he's wearing the Cleveland helmet. He was on a major league rehab assignment, so this guy is a big leaguer, taking care of business in that great plate appearance he had. Just want to call out how well Festa hides the ball on his delivery. Really does not let the batters get a good look. So those are my thoughts there. Let's move on to the fourth inning. So after wobbling a bit in the third, he comes out and has a very efficient 13-pitch 1-2-3 fourth inning. And at this point, I'd like to take a look at Festa's professional numbers to date, year by year, and just want to call out former 13th round pick David Festa. What a find for the Twins. I had an incredible 2022. This year, gave up some more damage, but this is a guy, again, in his second full professional season, that late of a draft pick, pitching in Double-A and then in Triple-A. Pretty impressive journey so far for David Festa. But, certainly want to be, honest with ourselves here. He did give up quite a bit more damage last year in 2023 than he did in 2022. Unfortunately, didn't add innings year over year either. Went from 103.2 to 92.1. Part of that is because Festa was a Twins representative at the Futures game this year, which is sort of an all-star game for prospects. That threw his kind of schedule off a little bit, and they had to actually ramp him back up after that. He pitched out of the bullpen a couple times. But 5 innings or more in only 7 of his 24 outings. I'm sure that's something that both he and the team would like to improve upon. But 11.6 strikeouts per 9 innings. 119 strikeouts in 92 and a third innings. Nothing wrong with that, for sure. So we will keep an eye on David Festa as he progresses in AAA, knocking on the door of the big leagues at this point. So let's take a look at his 5th inning from this outing. So I want to talk a little bit more about the automated strike zone in just a sec. But first off, Festa, this was the end of his outing. Ends on a K. Very nicely done. 5 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts, 92 pitches, season high. As you see here, they had a mound visit to kind of try to help him through. They also got some help by an ejection later on. This is Brian Rocchio, a big-time Cleveland prospect, top 100 prospect, made his major league debut this year. Did not like that call in the automated strike zone, and after he popped out, for some reason, did not vacate the box, was jarring at the umpire about something. We can only assume it was that call. I'm not 100% sure that's right. But he got tossed. So that there was a long argument after that. Also helped David Festa kind of conserve some energy and get through that 5th inning. But this is what I want to talk about on the automated system, is that on the left is what we got on the broadcast. On the right is what we have on Baseball Savant. Now, what's the difference? Why does that? It's the number 1 on the Baseball Savant. Why do they look so different? Well, the one on the left is actually calibrated to the player's actual strike zone, their height, and the one on the right is not. That's just sort of a general box drawn that doesn't take into account that individual player's body type. So obviously that's what dictates the strike zone. Not every player has the same size zone, north and south. So I think Rocchio had a point there based off of this look on the left. It was very close. It was not obviously a strike. But if we were to pull up Baseball Savant, it looks obviously like a strike. So something to keep in mind if you're watching some of these games. I'm sure they're going to continue to test this system. This was sort of a misconception on my end before, in misunderstanding, seeing some things where I looked certain places that looked like they were possibly called wrong by that system. So it's just going to be an interesting thing to follow. I'm really glad they're testing that out in the minor leagues. Seems to be going pretty well so far. Anyway, thanks so much to all the channel members. Really appreciate y'all. Here are the premium members. Y'all help support the channel and allow me to do weird stuff like this and put these videos out that aren't going to be super appealing to a mass audience, but I know a lot of you like to dig deep into this stuff. So thanks so much. We'll talk again soon.